We welcome you here to the newly refurbished Anatomy Auditorium this fine morning on the occasion of the 30th anniversary year of the faculty for the commencement lecture of the 32nd batch of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, University of Sri Jawalanpura. Now, please stand as the ceremonial procession will now commence. Thank you. Batch representatives of the 32nd batch will now read out the oath on code of conduct. New students of the 32nd batch, please stand.
In relation to the public and patients, we will treat every patient equally well without considering their race, social status, etc. People who need urgent help will always be given priority. We will respect the patient's privacy and maintain confidentiality of their personal information. We will enlighten the public as to what they have to know in order to ensure public health and safety. We will be kind and polite to the public. As professionals, we will be responsible with the use of communication and our knowledge. We will always try to be updated in our field to serve the public better. We will set a good example for the society, especially for the impressionable young generation. We will duly respect fellow professionals, teachers, patients, and student colleagues. We will maintain honesty and clear communication when working with peers. In the faculty, as students, we will always be united as a team, irrespective of any differences in race, gender, ethnicity. We will fight for the safety, dignity, and rights of each and every batchmate. We will maintain a professional demeanor when interacting with teachers, both inside and outside the faculty, while engaging in open and honest communication with them. We will greet the non-academic staff and acknowledge their presence whenever possible, giving them due respect. We will be punctual to lectures and other events and will conduct ourselves in a manner that is not disturbing to teachers and other students. We will adhere to the rules and regulations of the faculty and will defer to the faculty and staff where necessary. We will always uphold the dignity and good name of the faculty and will strive to bring it glory. We will protect the infrastructure of the faculty, avoiding all forms of vandalism, and will do our best to keep the faculty premises clean and tidy, while making the maximum use of the faculty resources, both academic and recreational. Thank you.
Thank you. Senior Professor Aloka Patrana, Dean of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, University of Sri Jawalanpura, will now introduce the speaker for the Commencement Lecture 2023.
Good morning, everybody. I'm indeed honored as the Dean of our faculty to introduce a distinguished alumnus of our faculty, Dr. R.A. Chandrasena Arabe, to deliver the commencement lecture for the 32nd batch of students. Dr. Chandrasena studied up to the GCE advanced level exam at Rattapura Udagama Mahavidyalaya and Balangoda Ananda Maitriya Central College. He entered the Faculty of Medical Sciences of this university with its second batch in 1994 and obtained the MBBS degree in 1999 with second class upper division honors. Dr. Chandrasena did his internship at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka in the year 2000 and entered the postgraduate program in medicine. He obtained the MD Medicine in 2008 and completed his overseas training at the Frankston Hospital in Victoria, Australia. Upon his return, after completing his overseas training, Dr. Chandrasena worked as a consultant physician at the National Hospital of Sri Lanka, Base Hospital Ambilipitiya, Base Hospital Kiribati Goda, and the Teaching Hospital Karapitiya, and currently he is attached to to the North Colombo Teaching Hospital, Ragama. During the lockdown period of the pandemic, Dr. Chandrasena was instrumental in converting a ward into a COVID-19 HDU, ICU with ventilators, wall oxygen supply, other drugs and equipment for the acute COVID-19 management through donations amounting to more than 20 million rupees. He is famously known as a humane doctor, and his words of wisdom would undoubtedly leave a lasting impression on you. Thank you. May I now invite Dr. Chandrasena to deliver his commencement lecture.
Dear teachers and the students and my colleagues, it's a great pleasure to be back here after about 23 years. And first of all, I must thank the Dean and the faculty for inviting me for this lecture. And I see here so many familiar faces. My own teachers who were teaching me in 1994 and onwards are still here, some of them. And also my batchmates who were with me, like you all sitting there, listening to lectures. Now they are in professors and senior lecturers and all. So it's a great pleasure to be back here and addressing you all. So dear students, my congratulations to all of you as well. You have done a great job in your advanced level and got entered into the Faculty of Medicine, Medical Sciences, and it's a great achievement. I know your life would have been very hard, need a lot of commitment. So I think your next period of studies in the Faculty of Medicine as well, you will get on with that much of commitment and courage. So during the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'll be talking on a few areas that I thought will be of use for you at the beginning of your study period. So I'll be talking about the health, the well-being, and the factors which affect our health and well-being, because finally all of you will be health professionals. So it's a must to know what is health, what is meant by health. Then the career paths that are open for you when you go out of the faculty. There are so many career paths. You may be seeing only the doctors treating patients, but there are so many opportunities for you open in the world, in our country as well. So I'll be talking about some of the difficulties that we faced during our faculty days as well as in our professional life afterwards. So I think most of them will be sort of common things you also might be facing in the future. So my purpose will be to give my experience, our experience, so as to avoid them altogether or to manage such difficulties. Then I'll be talking about some of the personal qualities which I thought would have helped me to succeed in my life. Now let's understand what is health, what is well-being, what is quality of life, and what is the health system, and the role, how the health system is organized, and the role of the doctor. So it will be very brief one because there's no time. Now, some of you would have seen this picture in the internet. This boy who is there, who is in the right-hand side, he is from Nigeria. So there are thousands, hundreds and thousands of children are thrown into the streets like that. And this lady is from Denmark, a Danish lady. She is running an NGO which support children like that. So if you see videos in the internet, that boy couldn't stand even alone. He was sort of falling down and was about to die. So this is the same boy after 1 or 2 years. So you can see the transformation that the child had. So a person who was about to die, now living a very happy life. He has started living a very happy, productive, successful life. So the lesson here is that the human, almost all the human who are conceived as a human being in the mother's womb, conceived with having the potential to live a happy, healthy, productive, full human life. So will that be materialized? Will that be a reality or not? Depend on so many factors. So I don't need to emphasize what are those. Now this child didn't have a name. So if you don't have a name, you don't have an agency in the society. You don't have a role in the society. You are not recognized as a human being in the society. So she gave a name. Then she gave water, food, medicine, protection, then the opportunities to play, study. So those things transformed. So what are the factors which push hundreds of people, hundreds of children into that stage in Nigeria? I don't need to emphasize the poverty. Now, then the misconception or misbeliefs of the parents that this child is a curse for the family. Then the poverty, then environmental conditions, social conditions, something which are familiar or in the immediate surrounding of the child, as well as the broader factors. You know, this won't happen in our country because even though a parent doesn't need a child or not protecting a child, we have a system of protecting the children. So they don't have a legal protection for the child. Then does the corruption matter? Yes, because Nigeria is a country full of natural resources, but that doesn't turn into human well-being because of poor governance, bad economic policies, then so on, corruption. So finally, a life which would have turned into a happy, productive, full human life may have gone into misery and death. So again, I will emphasize the lesson is the human has the potential to live a happy, healthy, productive, full human life. Then this one, it may not be clear. This is about the life expectancy around the world from 1770 to 2012. You can see up to about 1800, actually almost 1900, 1880s like. The life expectancy of human population throughout the human history was around 35, 40. A lot of people are born, conceive, but hardly anyone live up to 50, 60, 70. A lot die. Because of that, the average lifespan is considered 35, 40. Now it is, you can see in certain regions in Europe and all, it's about 80, and in African countries it's about 60. So in average around 70, 75. So the phenomenon that I explained in the earlier slide also apply to this one. So what are the factors which transformed our lives? Say if we were 2-3 generations back, if we were born, we wouldn't have been like this. So what are the factors which transformed the human lives, giving the human to live another couple of decades? It's not a small amount, it's several decades, 3-4 decades. So what are the factors which contributed to this? Firstly, the understanding of the nature, natural forces by the scientific approach. Now all this time it was when the people become sick, die, it was attributed to the various forces like God's will and so on. Then with time people recognize it's not like that. The people become sick because of correctable causes. So one of the thing they found was what's called germ theory. When the people become sick and die, because when they become sick with fever and die, people didn't know what is it, for what the person died, but then only got to know that's because of germs. Then other transformations happened, like technological advancement, industrial revolutions, first and second industrial revolution. Then the green revolution. A lot of people die because of hunger. So you would have heard about the green revolution. Green revolution means, in the past, almost all of the people have to grow food to eat. But later on, the technology became advanced. Even small amount of people are in the farming sector, but having a super yield because of because of good seed varieties, fertilizer, industrial farming, and so on. Then the medical sector expanded. The health became health system, health service. Then the governance models changed. It was a monarchical system. Then it turned to a republic way of system. Then the economic system, it was a feudal system. Then it turned to a capitalist or the capitalist socialist systems. So many transformations happened, giving rise to a good life for the people. Good in the sense, at least a longer life. So again, it emphasized that many factors affect our life, and when the optimal conditions are there, we can thrive, we can live a longer, a productive, healthy life. But still you can see, if you see the Europe, its life expectancy is about 80. Now in Africa it is still 54. Why? Because the optimal conditions are there in European countries, many of the European countries, but not in Africa. So this phenomenon is very important to understand as health professionals. Now, understanding this phenomenon, the WHO and so many organizations has come out with this model, what's called determinants of health. The things which will decide whether a person lives a longer life, a happy life, a healthier life, is decided by age, gender, hereditary factors, then individual lifestyle factors, social and community networks, agriculture and food production, education, work environment, living and working conditions, employment, water sanitation, healthcare services, housing, and so many factors. So those things, whether they are in optimal conditions or not, is decided by the national conditions like general socio-economic, cultural, and environmental conditions. So you should appreciate that our life is decided by factors which range from our genetics to the global factors. Now, the health system is the one which is in place directly acting on the people's health, is one of those deciding factors. So, health system is organized mainly into stewardship, then the resource generation and management. Now, this faculty belongs to that portion of that section of the health system, resource generation and management, then the healthcare delivery. Now, healthcare is delivered in 5 ways to the people: health promotion, disease prevention, curative care, rehabilitation, and palliative care. Health promotion means we promote those who are already healthy to be healthy. Then disease prevention is somewhat focused, like you would have heard childhood prevention with immunization or malaria prevention and things like that, dengue prevention and all. So with those two, we try to make people healthier, but if they become sick, then there's a role for us to do, that is curative care. Now I am in the curative sector. So if a person becomes sick and if he cannot cure, then that means the person is left with some disability. It might be mental disability, physical disability, unable to walk or breathe properly. Then comes the rehabilitation, punuruttapanaya. Okay, so we try to make them as independent as possible with the rehabilitation. Then the palliative care. That means those who are unable to be rehabilitated but having a very short lifespan, we make them comfortable with tender loving care until they die. So those are the ways that the health system and the healthcare delivery is organized. I suppose you might have some idea as to what is health, what is human well-being, and the factors which affect the health and the well-being, the human potential, and so on. So I encourage you to read the WHO definition of health as well as the mental health. So that is very important because I thought of emphasizing this. Now, if you go out and ask from any health professional, about 99.9% doesn't have an idea, this broader concept as to the meaning of our job. Then about the career paths. Before that, I will go back to this. Now, something else to understand. You would have heard of these systems and system change. These days, it's a very widely used term. So this picture helps us to understand that also. Now, the first picture is a different system. So that system push people into poverty, despair, and misery. So the other one that the lady initiated for that child is a different system. So that helps the human to flourish, to be to live a quality life. So this helps to understand what is system change. Now, you may think that, okay, so we are better than, say, Nigeria. Yes, because we don't leave our children like that. But if you apply it to adults, now actually our health system systematically covers only up to 5 years, and after that it is not guaranteed coverage. But in a country like Sweden or somewhere, or Australia, New Zealand or somewhere, it is not like that. Throughout the life, the entire lifespan, the system, not only the health system, other systems as well, ensure that the human well-being is assured. Now I thought of talking about these career paths after graduation because you might be seeing the doctors in the private practice or in the hospitals treating patients, but actually once you graduate, it doesn't limit it to that sort of a role. There are so many opportunities for you. You can become a clinician like us who are treating patients, or you can become an academician that like your teachers here, or a researcher. Now, some cover all of these areas. Then you can become an administrator, an executive in a private sector, or you can go into the policy making or community leadership. Now, actually, one of my interests is this policy making area, or you can work in public sector in the country or in the private sector, or you can move abroad and work in national health services in those countries, or in international organizations like UNICEF, WHO, and so on, or a research institution. So there are so many career opportunities for you. It is not a single path, a single destination. So this will be important for you to set your next goal. I know from childhood you would have expected, your ambition might have been to enter into the medical faculty and to be a doctor. But now onwards, you need another higher goal to follow your life. So this might help you to set that goal as well. Then if I come to some of the difficulties that we faced in our faculty and our career thereafter, the most concerning one is about the academic performance, how we perform in our exams and all. Now, we should understand the medical faculty, Sri Lanka Medical Council, then the consultants like us who are working in the hospitals are responsible for the public to maintain the standards of the doctors. So, for that, there's a standard, and you are expected to achieve, to study, to acquire knowledge and the skills to perform up to that standard. So it might not be easy one, but there's no other way as well, because finally you all will go as doctors, and a person's life will depend on your abilities, your talents, your skills, and your knowledge. So it is up to you to acquire necessary knowledge and skills and perform when there are tests or standard measurements. Then when I told my friends that I'm going, our batchmates, that I'm going to deliver a lecture, one of the batchmates called me and asked to tell this one, the second thing, because he was sort of, his way of study was, there were so many, the way of studying was to read and read and read until it goes to the memory. Then in the final year, actually we interfered, and way of studying changed, and that helped him to pass the exam, because before that he failed almost all the exams, and he had to sit for the repeat exams. So it's important to not just to read or listen, but try to grasp the meaning or the concept. Now there are certain things that you have to memorize. There's no other way, like names of the muscles and bones and things like that. But there are a lot of things in the medicine course that you have to grasp the concept, understand the concept. So without understanding how much you read and try to memorize, it will not retain. Then it's important to share the knowledge as well. With time, you will recognize that some are performing better than the others. So it's quite natural, and no need to be panic, or those who are performing well, it's not something to boast. So try to share the knowledge, not only the knowledge, the materials which contain knowledge, like books or other reading materials, you can share. So the more you share, your knowledge will be wider, and you can create a group of people around you who are knowledgeable. And the other thing is, unlike advanced level or ordinary level, the life here is not competitive. Someone else's performance doesn't affect the other one's grade. Like now in the advanced level, only very few are selected from the advanced level examination, so it's competitive. But here, if student A perform well, he might get a first class, and if that won't affect the student B. So your teachers will give enough, your teachers will pass you or give enough classes and all if you get through the standard test. So it's not competitive. So share knowledge and the things which are related to the knowledge. Then the other important thing is interactive learning instead of passive learning. Now sometimes we tend to just come there, sit there and listen only. It's okay, but during the lectures as well, if you have any queries, you have to raise the hand and clarify. Then when you go out, form small groups and discuss the day's teachings. So like that, you can draw things, make presentations and things like that. So sort of play with your subject, be interactive rather than just reading and listening. Then you have to be very focused and attentive, because this is not an easy course to follow. And not like in our days, now there are a lot of distractions, ranging from your phone you have, the social media, and then the country situation. So then your the personal problems, your love affairs. So many things will distract you. So if few days or months, if you are distracted, it's extremely difficult to come back and concentrate. So don't move away from your focus, and you have to be very attentive. Then also it is important to have adequate rest and sleep. So you should start the day fresh. Common to have too much workload and stress. No one is there without stress. No student. So it's a common thing. So there, the time management is extremely important. Don't wait till the last moment. Now we had our batchmates who are doing various things, and when the exam is closer, they become panic, cry, become depressed, and things like that. So also, if you become stressed, do not panic and go into wrong judgments and take wrong actions. You have to seek help from your friends, from your teachers, and there might be student counselors as well. And you can apply some relaxation techniques. You can engage in hobbies. You might like singing or getting together, having a chat, or going on a trip like that. And most important thing is never think of addictive substances. Like I know that you all are very intelligent, and every one of you can have a very successful life, but if accidentally you get into, because of your stress or because your desire or because of something, if you get addicted to alcohol or smoking or other substances which are addictive, then your entire life can become a misery. Then something about the communication, socializing and language. Now, unlike in Western countries, we are a bit of backward. So don't be afraid or shy or withdrawn in communicating your concerns, your problems. Now, we get students in third, fourth years or final years for the clinical teaching. And actually we like those who are questioning us about the patients, about the diagnosis and so on. So it's a stimulation for the teacher to teach as well. So it's extremely important to improve your communication abilities. Then English will become a problem. There might be certain students who are competent, those who have having a family background, or those who have studied advanced level or ordinary level in English, but there might be many who are not well versatile in English. So that is also quite natural. So the thing is, again, no need to be panicked. So first few weeks and months will be a bit of difficult. It will be difficult to understand, because the medical jargon or the medical vocabulary also new to you, and the English also not our usual language, so it will be difficult. but just tolerate few weeks and months, you all can catch up. Then it's important to improve the vocabulary, English vocabulary as well as the medical terminology. Now, in our days, it was we had to rely on paper, the dictionary. Now you all have the smartphone. So whenever you meet a medical term or an English word that you are not familiar, refer and get the meaning. So by that way, you can improve the English vocabulary and the English language as well. So if you improve that, that will help you greatly in understanding medicine, the things in the medical course as well. Then about the financial situation. Now, the major portion of your expenditure is borne by the public. Now, when I asked from my friend in the Minister of Higher Education, he told per one medical student per year, about 600,000 of recurrent expenditure is borne. That's about 6 lakhs. I don't know whether it is correct. I thought it is more than that. But that is what he told. So we have a duty to serve the people, not with money, but with the service. So you can migrate out, you can go out of the country, but it's free to go out and serve in other country as well. But we have to keep in mind, at least financially, we should help the people here. Then the personal finance. I know, especially in these days with the economic crisis and all, it might be very difficult for your parents to fund you or your guardians to fund you. So there are only two ways that we can do, to manage it. Either we have to increase the income or we have to control the expenditure. So it will be very difficult to increase the income. So you can find some, there are certain scholarships and all. Then you will get the bursary and the Mahapol as well. Then the loans, I don't think it's applied to you. This is actually when you become, when you graduate and when you start your professional life, a lot of people get into the debt trap and have a difficult life because they get a lot of big loans to construct houses and to buy hi-fi vehicles and all. Then they are not sustainable, and the whole life have to spend for private practice and earn money. So sometimes with unethical means. So we have to be aware of that as well. Then the controlling of expenditure is extremely important. So don't compare with the other person and try to buy new clothes and dresses, and so go on extravagant expenditure. So we have to be very cautious about how we spend the money we get. Then something about the interpersonal relationships. So that's extremely important. Now, you have come out from your familiar environment. You are not no more with your family most of the time, or your school friends or teachers. Now you all are adults, and so you will be meeting hundreds of new people in your life. So having good relationships is very important, because having good relationships is a big asset in your life when you face stressors, difficulties, maybe financial difficulties or learning difficulties or other health issues. So if you have good relationships, that help much, probably more than the money you have. So how can you build good relationships? more than waiting the other person to be a good friend, you have to start the friendship. If you are a good friend to the other person or the others in the society or the other friend will be a good friend to you. Then it's important to maintain the unity and the cooperation within the batch. So you will be together for the next 5 years. Now, so it will become a family. You know, if there are fighting within the family, it is not a livable environment. It become an unpleasant environment. So it's very important to maintain the unity and the cooperation within the batch. Now, in our case, we were in the second batch, and still we are very cooperative, united, and we conduct annual get-togethers. So it's a sort of a day that we are waiting for to chat and to share our experience which had in our faculty days. So that was very helpful, even in extremely difficult conditions. We had some batchmates having serious illnesses like heart problems, then one had to undergo a kidney transplant, and one had a serious cancer. So things like that. So in all these situations, the friendship, the cooperation helped. Then the other thing is we have to understand that the people we meet, we associate, are diverse in their interest, their capacities, their weaknesses. So it's a very diverse thing. So one person's interest may not be the other one's interest, or one person's capacities may not be the other person's. It may not be equal. So one is like competent in learning, studies, but may not be competent in other aspects. So also the weaknesses are very wide. So we have to identify that, we have to appreciate that, the fact, and also we have to be empathetic. Empathetic means we should know the other person's grievances, the situation. So almost all are under some form of stress. So the other person might not be behaving in a way that we expect because of this diversity. Then I'll talk about some of the personal qualities that better to possess to lead a successful life. You would have heard this word resilience. So it's been used in many situations. When it applies to our topic, the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Sorry, I don't know whether I have. Yeah, I have skipped one slide. Then the other important thing is teamwork mentality. Now, this is very important when you enter into your career, become a doctor, than the hierarchical order. So, now in other countries, in developed countries, you know, it's mostly the hierarchy is flat. It's not top down. So it's a teamwork always. So we have to appreciate the others' contribution as well. Then maintaining a positive attitudes towards life and the society. Now we are spending a time where in this country a bit of a crisis situation. So we become naturally sort of to be desperate and to have a lot of negative feelings. So we have to be we have to be aware of that, and we should see the society and our life positively. Then the other important thing is to maintain the trust and the respect that the public has on the medical profession. You know, this might be one reason that you select the medical profession. The people respect us and they trust us, but you would have noticed during the last couple of decades there are some allegations against doctors So sometimes their trust is gone or they are not much respecting. Now again, this is not just because of the problem of the doctors. Now here we have to work under a health system which got changed because of the country's economic policy, which is operating since 1977. Now major part of our health system has been put into the market. Then about the emotional intelligence, you would have heard this. So what is emotional intelligence? It is ability to control, evaluate and use emotions to communicate with and relate to others effectively and constructively. So it's quite natural that we feel various feelings. We feel anger, we feel rejection, humiliation, fear, despair, helplessness, hopelessness. So there are so many negative feelings that we feel in our day-to-day life. So here the emotional intelligence is to identify that I am feeling sadness now, or I am feeling an anger now. So to understand that feeling as well as then to sort of manage it and to relate or communicate effectively and constructively so that it won't put us or the other persons in trouble. So say if you are angry, we tend to naturally to fight. So if you identify that I will lose my control, then I will start fighting, then we can control it. So it is natural to have negative feelings, but the most important thing is to control them and to sort of communicate or relate to others effectively, constructively and non-destructively. So going back to the resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Now in our life, we will face various difficult conditions. We might fail an exam, or we might lose our loved one, or things like that, or breakup of love affairs and things like that. So this is the quality that we should master. We have to quickly recover back rather than just hanging around with it and gradually goes down with those issues. Then maintaining the integrity. Integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Now, a frequently used word these days is corruption or the dushanaya. Dushanaya is completely opposite of the integrity. So even an ordinary doctor working in the private clinic or in the hospital are being given certain powers, the powers like to examine patients, to talk about the personal things, to tell various things, and also to manage the resources, maybe finance or the other resources which are in the hospital, things like that. So we have to be very careful not to abuse that power. We see that in our country a lot, how the power is abused and the system collapses. So we have to be careful not to abuse the power we get. Then maintaining the ethical standards is important, and we have to be responsible because in your life so far it was childhood and adolescent. Now you are not more no more in your childhood period. You are now adults. So we have to act with that keeping in mind. Then we have to be accountable for the actions we do. Then the other important personal quality is anticipating and being prepared for the probable future difficulties. Now, this is something that I also possess, and I admire about myself that. So to tell you an example now, during last 2 years, there was a fuel crisis and the electricity crisis. So that didn't affect me because just before the crisis, I installed a off-grid solar system at my house and also the on-grid solar system. Then I bought a electric vehicle. So even today I came by that. So I can travel about 250 kilometers with one charge. I don't spend any cent for my travel. So that is just an example. Like if you see the future, that what will happen, and if you prepare for that, you can avoid a lot of difficulties. So I was not in fuel queues, and the recent and the fuel price hike didn't affect me, and also the electricity price hike doesn't affect me. Actually, I earned some money from the CEB because I got prepared beforehand. So I am not telling that I can do always those things, but whenever possible, we have to see the future and be prepared. Now, it's difficult for us to be immune from things happening in the country at the national level. We cannot adapt to every crisis. But to a certain extent, if we are careful, if we are smart enough, you can avoid the future difficulties. And sometimes we have to compromise our current comfort for future gains or to avoid future difficulties. Now, so that is, my example is related to that. So if you take another example, like in the final year, or in the MBBS exam, we assess your clinical skills, like whether you can talk to a patient properly, and whether you are capable of diagnosing the disease and make a management plan. So for that thing, you have to examine a lot of patients. You have to do your clinical work when you go to hospital. So without practicing it over and over again, you won't get that skill. So we have seen sometimes the students goes to the hospitals and just spend time like looking at the phone or chatting. Then when they come to the clinical assessment, they find difficult. So you have to keep in mind, one day I'll be assessed for my theoretical knowledge as well as my practical knowledge. So you have to be prepared. Then also, we have to mentally prepare ourselves to face difficult conditions, to work under or to live under difficult conditions. When you become a doctor, sometimes you may have to be away from your family and work in very remote areas. But if you are like already prepared with our mind and with our other things, you can enjoy working in the remote areas. But for others who are not mentally prepared or prepared with other means, it becomes a problem. Then if you are working in Sri Lanka, obviously we have to work under very resource poor setting. Sometimes lack of drugs, investigations, staff, overcrowding. So they are quite common in our health system. So we have to be well prepared to work under a resource poor setting as well. Then sometime we might have to work with difficult colleagues or co-workers, those who are not much cooperative. So all these things can happen, but if we sort of anticipate, අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වුණොත් මෙහෙම තත්ත්වයක් එයි කියලා, we can prepare. At least mentally we can prepare. So, I mean, they won't become unexpected difficulties. Then about the 3 P's of happiness. This I took from a book I read. There are 5 areas in the world where the people live long lives, about 100 years, healthy lives, happy and healthy lives. So one area is there in Japan, in Spain, then in the USA as well, in Greece and in Costa Rica. So a group of researchers have done a research to find the common characteristics of the people in the common features of those areas. Then it was a long study, and they have published a lot of books, and there are a lot of talks in the internet. So they are called blue zones of happiness. So if you Google search, you will find. So they come out with a brief, like a shortened form of everything they found, that a common feature of those people living in those areas are pride, pleasure, and purpose. Now the pride means they are pride about the past. They are happy about their performance in the life. Then they engage in pleasurable things which are not harmful, like gathering together and enjoying the life, cooking together, or that sort of things which are not harmful to the self or the others. So day-to-day pleasurable things. And also they have a purpose to live. Like they always when they come out in the morning, they have a plan for the day, and they have a plan for the month, for the year, for the rest of the life. A purpose to live. Even the 100-year-old or 105-year-old person has a plan, has a purpose to live. So I suppose this thing is also important for us. You should be very happy about your past performance, and you should have some kind of pleasurable things in your day-to-day things. So that will help you to maintain the day-to-day happiness. And you should have a purpose in your life. Then you can have a very happy, healthy, long life. But this alone will not ensure. Now, in the previous slides, we talk about the other conditions which are needed for us to live a happy, healthy, long life, like the conditions in the country. But at least at our personal level, we can do something if we practice this. Then also it is important to have a balanced life, a personal life, or you have a family life when you marry, and then a professional life. Now you have started, so we can say that you have started your professional life as a student. Then your social life. So sometimes we might have to give priority, like when you are in the medical faculty, you have to give priority for your studies. But when you go out, and when you are like stable enough with your income, with your job and all, you have to think about the society as well, the social life, whether the society I am living is optimal, good for my life. So a balanced life is a must. And also something about the career progress. Generally, what we have seen is after getting the degree, most of the doctors just start a private practice or go to hospitals and earn an income, build a house, then buy a vehicle, marry, and spend the life. So I think more than that, it's better for you to have career progress. I heard even in your oath it was mentioned. So you have to be very keen to acquire new knowledge and the clinical skills throughout your life. As long as you live, try to acquire new knowledge. It may not necessarily be medical knowledge, but the broader things about the society, about the politics, economy, global affairs, and things like that. So that will help you to broaden your vision, your knowledge, and whenever possible to interfere with them positively. And also it is important, on the other hand, there are certain people who try to climb on the ladder, like you go out with the MBBS degree, then the next step, like getting the MD or MS or other higher postgraduate degree without performing the duty properly, because the remaining part of the higher education or the higher education after you go into the to work, you have to do it while working. So we have to emphasize that you shouldn't forget that you have a duty to perform, and while performing that duty only, you should climb in the career ladder. So with that, actually, I will end my talk. I think we have enough time, more time, or so it may not be a good idea to do a long lecture. I don't know how much I spend the time. So finally, wish you all the success during your life in the Faculty of Medical Sciences and a fulfilling career thereafter. Hope that each of you will be a person of high value to the society. So thank you very much.
Next, I cordially invite Senior Professor Aloka Patirana, Dean, Faculty of Medical Sciences, University of Sri Jagannathpura, to present the token of appreciation to Dr. R.A. Chandrasena. Thank you, sir. Next, I invite Professor Sugandhika Suresh, Coordinator of the Orientation Program, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the coordinator of the Orientation Program, it's my privilege, honor, and pleasure to propose this vote of thanks at the Commencement Lecture 2023, which marks the commencement of academic activities for the 32nd batch of medical students, as well as later on the dental students and the human biology students are also joining. And it is happening on the historic landmark in the faculty, which is the 30th anniversary. So on behalf of the Faculty of Medical Sciences, University of Sri Jagannathpura, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. R.A. Chandrasena for accepting our invitation to deliver the Commencement Lecture 2023 for these new entrants. And I'm sure all of the students here today listen to words of wisdom, which they would carry for their lives, the entire lifespan. So thank you very much, Dr. Chandrasena, for accepting our invitation and delivering the commencement lecture. I would like to thank all the professors, heads of departments, and the academic staff for being here today for the commencement lecture. I also take this opportunity to thank all the members of the academic and non-academic staff for their constant support, guidance, and valuable suggestions given to me during the orientation program to organize and conduct the program and arrange various activities. Especially the technical staff of the Department of Medical Education and the Dean's Office need a special mention of thanks. Your support is really valued, and I thank all of you for your support. So, dear students of the 32nd batch, today you have taken one more step in your journey to make your dream a reality. So the foundation module will commence today, and we have planned different learning activities for you, which include the lectures, tutorials, small group discussions, student seminars, practicals, as well as the IT and the English language activities. So I hope you will do your best to achieve your goal, and we are always with you to guide you and support you whenever needed. Finally, on behalf of all the academic staff, I would like to extend the best wishes and good luck to all of you. Thank you and have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Madam. That will bring an end to the day's program. Please stand till the procession leaves the hall. I wish you all a pleasant day.